Yeah. Yeah, actually,
Okay,
it,
okay, folks, we're rolling. Um, on his return, oh, this is page 152, ladies and gentlemen of Mehera-Meher.
mhm.
Um, on his return to Satara, Baba continued his seclusion work, frequently
Excuse me. Yeah,
fasting.
excuse me. Are you recording now?
We are recording, yes.
Okay. Yeah. I'll shut up.
On his return to Satara, Baba continued his seclusion work, frequently fasting and holding poor programs. On 7 September, he left on a 4-day must trip to Hyderabad. Mani wrote to Irene on the 15th. On the 10th, in Baba's absence, Gohar took us to the town, a rare occasion, to see the Ganpati statues. Those are the elephant god statues. The one at the police headquarters was particularly lovely. Baba did not allow us to share his fast today as fully as he would have liked to, as it is more difficult for us this way. Not sure what that means, but once, while Baba was away on a musk trip, Mera, Mani, and Meru decided to go mushroom hunting. They left with raincoats over their house clothes, not bothering to change, since it was a secluded area. So I guess that means ladies wore house clothes at home and then changed into street clothes to go out on the street. They found a few button mushrooms near some logs. There was a big maidan, a field, near our house, Mera related. We tried to collect the right ones, but Goher was worried. She kept warning us that we were going to get poisoned, but we thought we knew about them. We knew the poisonous ones would smell and taste bitter. They brought the mushrooms back to Grafton. Don't eat those, Goher warned. I don't have a stomach pump here. Ignoring her, Mani washed them hurriedly and fried them with butter and salt. They were delectable, and Mera and Mani sat in front of Goher, purposely eating the mushrooms on a piece of toast. You won't listen to me, Goher fumed, so I am not responsible if you both get sick. Oh, don't get so excited, Goher, Mara said. Here, have some. They're delicious. Goher did not dare. Let me at least keep alive. Let me at least keep alive to take you both to the hospital. But they're so tasty, Mara said. Try them. I'm not going to get sick, Goher said. But Mara insisted, so Goher had a few. She liked them so much that she wanted more, and only then stopped reprimanding them. More mushrooms grew on a large compost pile of Sheba's droppings, which was used as manure for the garden. Once Mara and Mani went to collect mushrooms from this heap. Tiny ones were growing, which they cooked and ate on toast. Although these were not very appetizing, Mani had a lot. Mara took a lesser amount. Mani went to do some correspondence, but while she was typing, she started feeling odd. A giddy feeling came over her, and things became hazy. She did not tell anyone, thinking that Mehera had eaten some of the mushrooms and nothing had happened to her. I was also scared that if I said anything, I wouldn't be allowed to eat wild mushrooms in the future, Mani admitted. A few days later, when the women were outside gardening, Nadja saw the mushrooms on the dung heap and said, Mehera, you like mushrooms? Look at all these. Bring a pail and I'll prepare them for you. Mehera collected and washed them, and Nadja fried them. They offered some to Mani, who said, No, thank you, none for me. She did not tell the others what had happened to her, and this time Mehera ate a lot. Mehera recounted what happened. We thought they were okay because Mani had eaten them before, and she was still alive. But that night, while I was brushing my teeth, I started to feel funny. I wanted to sleep, but when I lay down, I couldn't. I couldn't sleep, and I couldn't stay awake. Afterwards, the story came out. We scolded Mani. For goodness sake, why didn't you tell us? Mehera became ill another time in Satara when she ate something raw. I like raw vegetables very much, she continued. I ate some grated raw beets, and it gave me an allergic reaction. My head began itching and did not stop for 2 days. Poor thing. Goher gave me some homeopathic medicine. It was the only time until then I ever took homeopathic medicine. It worked. And now I don't get that reaction, even if I eat raw beets. Nadja became dizzy one day from something other than food. Once, when it was cold, chilly, rainy weather in Satara, Mehera said, Nadja wasn't well. She took too much snuff and became giddy. She called out to someone to hold her. Mehera herself sometimes felt dizzy, especially at heights, and added at the memory, I don't like the feeling of being giddy. The women were not the only ones who fell ill in Satara. Once, Sheba was not well and had to be given Epsom salts. Goher mixed a bucketful of the bitter brew and tried to induce Sheba to drink it, but she would not touch it. Frustrated, Goher sought Mehera's advice. Sheba loves tea or coffee, Mehera thought, so why not concoct a vessel of tea? She poured it in the bucket along with the bitter Epsom salts, and Sheba drank every drop. Amazing. Photos were taken of Sheba, Baba, and Mehera on 3 separate occasions in Satara. In October 1956, on Dasera, they decorated Sheba with garlands of flowers, and Mehera asked Baba to pose next to Sheba. Another time, a photo was taken with Mehera standing in front of the horse. Sheba is looking intently to the left. Mehera wanted Sheba's ears to be up in the picture, so she instructed Meru to hold Sheba's feeding box on the veranda to the left, out of sight. Sheba knows the sound of the handle, Mehera explained, and she will look alert when Mani is ready to snap the photo. On the third occasion, Sheba is standing between Baba and Mehera. This picture, too, was staged by Mehera, as she wanted one of Baba and herself with the horse. For the photo, Mehera borrowed Meru's blouse and Mani's slacks. Baba is wearing a peach-colored coat, and Mehera requested him to stand in the picture. When she saw the photograph, however, she was disappointed and realized that Baba should have worn a different coat. Baba's coat didn't fit well, she opined. It was too long and baggy. He should have worn a short-fitting jacket. This one was too loose. After seeing the photo, Mehera also believed that she did not look good in slacks. My legs are too short. Nevertheless, she consented to Mani sending copies of the photos to a few close Western women in Myrtle Beach and elsewhere. Mikhail, would you like to read, unmute, and from Peter also?
Thank you. That was beautiful. How she staged things and how she looks at the details. This is good, this is not good. Beautiful. I remember seeing those pictures, in photographs. Peter also had his photo taken in Satara, but not alone. A pair of baby chipmunks are in the picture with the cocker spaniel. There is a story behind it. Once, all morning long, the woman heard some creature crying plaintively on the roof. Chee, chee, chee. Our sleep was disturbed by this helpless creature, Mani recalled. Early in the morning, we put up a ladder, and Meru and the servant girl, who helped Mehera in the garden, climbed up. There were three little baby chipmunks by themselves. The mother had been caught by a cat. Tiny little creatures, probably. Let's see. Tiny little things, their eyes closed. They looked like rats. They were easily caught, and we brought them down. One died, two survived. They were hungry. We made a wick from cotton wool and dipped it in a saucer with milk like a nipple. The baby chipmunks were put in a woman's room in a box lined with cloth. When Baba came, he was happy to see them. He petted them with his pinky finger and told the women to feed them well. The women, however, sorry. The women, however, wondered how they were going to keep Peter away, as he was fond of chasing chipmunks. It turned out completely opposite, Manny continued. Peter came and sniffed their box. He wagged his tail to show that he would not hurt them. He was happy. He was too happy. No, he too was happy. Peter became so maternal towards them. He was passionately fond of them. He used to quiver just to look at them, actually tremble. He wanted to eat what they ate, but he didn't like it if a banana was served. When the women fed the chipmunks bread and milk, however, Peter licked their saucer clean after they finished. Every evening, Mani, Naja, and Rano went for a walk after Baba retired to his room. Peter usually accompanied them, but after the chipmunks came, Peter did not want to go. He would not want to move away from the box. We had to put his leash on and pull him away, Mehera said, as she occasionally went also, and take it off when we were outside. Then he played and had his walk. Coming home, Peter would remember the chipmunks, run inside, and sit near the box. He was so sweet and loving to make sure the babies were all right. Manny reiterated. Peter loved walks, but he wouldn't go. He wanted to go back to the chipmunks. He sat before the box while we were dining in the dining room. He left them in his care. We left them in his care. Peter would sit with a frown of concentration. The chipmunks would come out of the box as they were growing and playing, and it was hard for him to keep an eye on both of them. When one would go out of the threshold of the room, Peter would pick him up and put him back in the box. The chipmunks were naughty. They would part Peter's hair and pull his tufts. Sometimes when they went under his stomach, he tried his best to avoid crushing them, sitting in an awkward position. There was a side note. Can I see the side note? Can you go?
Yes.
Yeah. So one of us needed to stay with Mehera. Meru explained if Mehera did not go, so if Manny went, I didn't, and vice versa. That means when they took Peter for a walk. When the women put the chipmunks box outside, Peter stood guard near it. Freed from their box, the chipmunks climbed all over the dog as if he were their mother. Peter put up his legs, rolled over, and played with them. Once, after Baba had gone to the Mandali, Mehera told Manny to take a photo of Peter and the chipmunks. Mehera kept encouraging me to take a picture of Peter and the two chipmunks, Manny said. I wasn't so interested, as I only had a box camera. Peter was so black anyway. What would come out one day when the chipmunks climbed on Peter, I did. And I'm so glad I did. Of course, we showed the photograph to Baba, who enjoyed it. When the chipmunks grew up, Baba told the women to set them free. As usual, Manny continued, we freed the pets we took in as orphans and invalids. We put them in a basket and went for a walk. We didn't take Peter. We went to this enormous banyan tree where there would be lots of berries and other chipmunks, and we let them go. They flew up the trunk as if they belonged there. For 3 days, Peter moaned. We weren't sure if we shouldn't have let him see, but if we had, he might have wanted to go back there. So what does it say on the side? No, that's not for that. Other and unexpected pets arrived as well. Sometime after the chipmunks had left, Manny came home with a baby crow. She put it in the same box. It had fallen from the nest. But when it did not eat what they fed it, they let it go where there were other crows. Besides, Mehera commented, it isn't nice to have a crow in the house. So on the side note, on April 8, 1957, Mehera wrote to Beryl Williams, from Satara, Miss Peking is sending a good breed kitten, which Baba has told me to keep. I hope Mastan, the puppy, will be friendly with it. But as things turned out, the kitten was never sent. So once the women brought their pet goat, did I miss something? Other unexpected pets arrived as well. I read that? Yeah, no, that was about the crow. Once the women brought their pet goat to show Baba, who called for food to feed it. They were also thinking of keeping a cat. We had asked a friend we knew, Miss Pickings, if we could have one of their kittens, said Manny, as the cat was so lovely. They had promised that, but the kittens were not born until soon after we left Satara. As related, Mehera and the other women enjoyed living in Satara. and for a time, it looks as if Baba would stay there indefinitely. Satara was a lovely stay, a lovely place, Mani reminisced. Only a few of us were there during our 3-year stay. That's a long stay. Before the second accident, Baba would ask us, "How do you like Satara?" And Mera would say, "It's a lovely place, Baba. It's so nice. The climate is so temperate. You could even go out during the monsoon, which you can't do at Mehrabad. No, you can't do at Mahabaleshwar or Panjani, where the rains are heavy. The heat is not too much during summer. The cold is not too much during winter. It was lovely and quiet." So, shall I read on the side note? Philosophical detective. Can you put it up?
Yeah.
Wolf. Oh, so that's the next thing that she's telling about Wolf. Wolf is a philosophical detective who spends most of his time in seclusion, tending his rare orchids. He solves mysteries by meditating on the problem and sending his young assistant, Archie, to do his legwork. Since Wolf is practically immobilized by his great gears and almost never leaves his brownstone. What is gears?
Uh, his belly is huge.
Ah, okay. So it is impractically immobilized by his great gears and almost never leaves his brownstone residence. "Why upbraid me?" Wolf asks Archie in Furtherlands, 1934, the first book of the series. "I am merely a genius, not a god." Furtherlands was read to Baba for the fourth time in January 1969. It's a debut.
Wow. Fer
Yeah.
de lance. That fer de lance is a very venomous snake, I believe.
Snake?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this paragraph probably talks about this book. "The women were also able to read many books here. Not far from our cottage," Manny continued, "was an open ground where there were the remnants of a country club building of English times. The club had old books. We went we went when no one else was there. No one visited it. One caretaker was there. We could go and take any book, and I read quite a few to Baba. Baba especially enjoyed a good detective story, such as those by Agatha Christie, Rex Stout, or Ellery Queen. But he only enjoyed certain characters of each author. Baba only wanted narrow wolf books from Rex Stout. Manny observed. From Agatha Christie likes Poirot. It was the detective that he liked. He would make the sign of Poirot mustache. From Nero Wolf, he gestured fat for the stomach of Nero Wolf. While in Satara,
Okay. You read this. The side note refers to that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So while in Satara, they also read The Call of the Wild by Jack London. She by H. Rider Haggard. The Tree Goes in Brooklyn. They had seen the movie in Dehradun, and a few historical novels by Raphael Sabatini. One particular book became Mira's favorite, A Woman in Grey by Alice Williamson. It had an old-time background, Mira remembered. Old-fashioned clothes, beautiful period story set in the early part of the century. I read it, liked it very much, and gave it to Mani to read. When Baba came from a math store, we read it to him, and he liked it also. The book was so old it was falling apart. We had to return it to this library, otherwise, I would have liked to keep it. So there's a side note saying that see Appendix B for a list of books read to Baba. The women continued their walks. We went in the morning on the grounds of the club, Mani related, searching for mushrooms. Peter, carrying a handmade basket in his mouth, accompanied us. Mera and I picked flowers for Baba in that. The vegetable women on their way to the market always crossed by our gate. Meru and Goher caught them before they got to the market, brought bought fresh vegetables, they were also less expensive, and stocked up on potatoes and onions too. We also did plays for Baba in Satara. Naja dressed up every night as a character of some kind. She did some amazing impersonations of characters: Shivaji, Gandhi, Ayub Khan, Oliver Hardy, Churchill, puffing on a cigar. Churchill puffing on a cigar. Her room was filled with all kinds of things: cardboard swords wrapped in silver paper, costumes, beards, and mustaches made of corn silk. Someone visiting would be most surprised in Naja's room, wondering what were all these things hanging on the walls. One day, Baba announced to the men Mandali that the well-known Indian social worker Vinoba Bhave was coming to Satara to meet him. Soon, a footed goated man dressed in a dhoti and holding a staff entered their quarters. The Mandali rose in respect to greet Bhave, completely taken in by Naja's expected makeup and portrayal.
So read the sidebar also.
Yeah, I'll read the sidebar and then let others one read. Also, Deb, also as an old man, so that's what she impersonated. Also as an old man, a butcher, a beggar, a Chinaman, a Brahmin, a Marwari, a Frenchman, an Englishman, in a top hat and waistcoat. One skit had Goyer cast as a mustachioed British colonel with a pipe. Mani, Meru, and Naja played a waiter, a chef, and a valet. A photo of them in costume was a
Huh.
photo was taken of them in costume.
Hmm. So,
Oh, I'll read this too. No, this belongs
sure,
to. It
sure,
is
yeah.
ironic that the women's skit was cancelled because of Pleader, who in 1938 had directed the mass production of a play at Lower Mehrabad according to Baba's instructions. It's ironic that the women stopped putting skits. It is ironic that the women's skit was cancelled. Okay, Jay Baba. Thank you.
Oh, thanks a lot, Michal.
Oh, thank
Marvin,
you.
are you reading today? Um, he's not at his machine, so Deb, it's on you.
Okay. I'm just about to sneeze, so try not to sneeze. Um,
Achoo!
thank you. Um,
From Once the
yeah,
Women.
I can't figure out that sidebar says that McCall just read. It is ironic that the women's skit was canceled because of Pleader, who in 1938 had directed the mass production of a play at Lower Mehrabad, according to Baba's instructions.
Yeah, they're probably talking about what is said in this next passage. They'll
Oh,
probably.
okay. Yeah. Um, Once the women put on an exceptionally delightful skit for Baba, who, along with Mehra, were the sole members of the audience. Baba enjoyed it so much that he said he would call the men to see it the next day to see it. Next morning he came looking disappointed. He informed them that Pleader, one of the Mandali, had arrived, and they could not do the play now, as Pleader was so spiritual in uh, quotation marks. What would he think? The show was canceled, and it was never performed for the men even later.
Mm.
Hmm. Living near them in Satara was a Christian carpenter and his wife, who became quite devoted to the women Mandali. When the couple had a son, the women asked what name they had given the baby. They were shocked when Young wife replied, Meher Baba. We said no, Mehera related, and suggested Merwan. They couldn't pronounce it, so we said, then name him Meherban, which is a word in Hindi meaning we're obliged. They looked puzzled at Meherban and eventually named him Meherbani, thank you, which means thank you. At this time, Baba announced plans for a unique Sahabas congregation to be held in India the following year in November 1957. Westerners and Easterners were invited, both men and women, and even some revered saints and musts of India were to attend. The darshan program was to take place at Meherabad, but Baba wished to look at other venues in Mahabaleshwar also, since it has a cooler climate. He went there with the women on 7 November to inspect possible accommodations for the groups. We waited till the rains finished, Mehera explained, and then went to Mahabaleshwar, which was impossible in the monsoon. It was lovely there after the rains, green and fresh. They traveled in Meherji's new car, stopping along the way in Wai and Panchgani. They had lunch at the Raipon Hotel in Mahabaleshwar, arranged by its Baba lover proprietor, Koyar Satarawala, who lived in Satara during the rainy season. Baba took us to see old empty houses and different bungalows, Mehera continued, which were vacant. A gardener or caretaker opened the door and showed the houses to Baba, who was in search of a suitable one in which to give darshan. Baba was walking up and down the veranda of one bungalow we looked at. We stayed overnight at Koyar's and again the next morning went out looking for a place for the Westerners to stay. Baba indicated that he wanted to see a larger place, so Koyar and his family took him to the governor's house, where in British times the governor resided for a month. The mansion had enormous grounds. Baba happily went round and then looked at the smaller guest cottages. He liked walking up and down and went far away through the forest to where the water supply came from. There was a large well there which supplied the entire estate. We went round the grounds and had a long walk there. Color photos were taken, but none came out. As Mehera mentioned, they spent the night at the Raipon Hotel and left for Satara in the morning. About the Raipon, Koyar said, Baba took an interest in the hotel. He appeared to like this old rickety place. It has a British style of architecture and was once a favorite with high-ranking British officers. Baba blessed this hotel with his stay here, and while leaving told me, take care of this place, I like it. In Satara one day in November 1956, Mehera saw Baba walking so quickly that the Mandali were having a hard time keeping up with him. There was plenty of sunshine and I was in the garden, she remembered. I heard a lot of noise and looked up and saw it. They were practically chasing Baba. Baba saw me gardening and after the Mandali departed, spoke a little. Before lunch, Baba walked up and down the long veranda in front of Grafton, our house. Then he said his walk was finished, so we both should go inside and wash our hands. Mehera recalled this particular incident so clearly because of how freely and unencumbered her beloved was walking that day. It would be one of the last times Mehera ever saw Baba walk that easily. Baba left Satara on 16 November for Musk contacts in Uttar Pradesh. He went to Meherabad on the 22nd, where he worked with Ali Shah for the last time. Baba returned to Satara the following day. The trip proved to be Meher Baba's final journey to contact a must. Ali Shah, too, never saw Baba again. He died at Meherbad a month later on 27 December.
Nadja, wow, she really looks like a impressive man.
Yeah,
Oh, she's a Maharaja.
except for maybe her hands.
Yep,
Look a little small.
they're a little small. Mm.
Mhm. And her feet, too.
Uh-huh. Petite.
Yeah.
Petite feet.
That's
Oh,
a,
here's the sweetheart Peter. Oh, what
look
a
at
cutie.
that.
What a cutie patootie.
Yeah. With the two chipmunks
Oh, they're with
themselves.
him, huh? Yeah. Oh, look at that. Wow.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. I love chipmunks.
I do too.
Yeah.
Very cute.
I guess that's Sheba, all decorated with garlands and
Yeah. I'm
sweet.
surprised she put up with having that on her back because she was spirited, as Mara said.
I guess Dasera is must be a holiday, huh? A religious holiday in India. Dasera.
Hindu, yeah, maybe Marvin knows exactly. I don't know.
Mm.
Do you know Marvin?
No, nothing definite. I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
Hmm.
And here we have a newspaper article about Baba's accident. I'm sure we'll get into the regular. Shall we read it? I guess we can read it. Is it legible in your book?
No, I don't like reading it because of. I mean, I can read it. Again,
But
I'm
you'll
not.
but you'll suffer.
Yeah.
Let Marvin read it then. Can you read it, Marvin? Is it too hard? I have it huge here on my screen, so it's easy for me.
For some reason, the screen disappeared on me here.
Okay, I'll read it then. Car mishap. Marababa injured in car mishap. Godse Godse dead. I guess Godse is Dr. N. Godse, yeah.
Yeah.
From our own correspondent, Satara, December 5. Further details of the motor accident in which Meher Baba and 4 others were injured, and Dr. N. Godse was killed on Sunday last, are now available. The party, which had left Pune in a touring car, met with an accident near Udattara, a village about 14 miles from here. Meher Baba and 4 other occupants were seriously injured as a result of the accident. Meher Baba was brought here in a car while the others were put in a truck and brought here for medical attention. Meher Baba and the other injured persons, on arriving at the Rosewood Cottage in the Satara camp area, were examined by the civil surgeon of Satara, Dr. N. Godse. Oh no, by the civil surgeon of Satara. There probably should be a period there. Dr. N. Godse was found to have breathed his last. Mr. Erich Jesawala and Mr. Asmadia Irani, who were unconscious, were immediately removed to the hospital. Mr. V.N. Devrakar, and the driver of the car were found to have received minor injuries. Mr. Jesawala and Mr. Irani, who have received serious injuries to the leg and hand, besides bone fractures, would take at least 2 months for complete recovery. It was at first proposed to remove them to the Sassoon hospitals in Pune, but on Tuesday, the Satara civil surgeon decided that instead of removing them to Pune, it was better to treat them here. Meher Baba is being treated in the Rosewood cottage by the civil surgeon. Mr. M.V. Bansad, a surgeon from Pune, Dr. Dorkin, and Miss G. Irani have come down here. Meher Baba's right thigh bone has been fractured. His tongue has received a deep cut. It has been given a few stitches. Deep scratches at the neck have also been stitched up. Doctors are confident that Meher Baba will soon recover. It will take about 2 weeks to set right the thigh bone. Afterwards, it will be necessary to place his right leg in plaster for complete recovery. Meher Baba continues to observe his usual silence while no visitors are allowed to see him. Dr. Godse's remains are being removed to Meherabad, near Ahmednagar, by the disciples of Meher Baba for cremation. Dr. Godse was a bachelor and an ardent follower of Meher Baba for the last 25 years. Many followers of Meher Baba from Bombay, Pune, and Ahmednagar, on learning of this accident, have come down here to pay their respect to the leader. Mr. Adike Irani, secretary of Meher Baba's ashram in Ahmednagar district, has also come here to see Meher Baba. And that's from the Pune Daily, 7 December 1956. Marvin, could you unmute and continue with chapter 123, another accident?
Oh, yeah, I got the picture back. Another accident. Meher Baba had declared that the month prior to the ending of his seclusion on 15th February 1957 would hold, quote, greater and more concentrated.
You know, Marvin, your internet must be spotty because your audio has disappeared. I'll continue reading then. Meher Baba had declared that the month prior to the ending of his seclusion, on 15 February 1957, would hold greater and more concentrated suffering for himself and his close followers. He announced that he would fast on 2 December 1956 without water. The Mandali too were to fast. It was decided that Baba would take a few of the men to Pune that day, where a cricket match was to be held. The sidebar says, even though Baba was fasting, The women sent along his usual tiffin and water bottle. Eric's memory was that Baba did not tell the women about his fast, as he did not wish to worry them. Erich, therefore, did not say anything either and put the containers in his car. The women waved goodbye to Baba from the steps of their veranda. Pendu, Meherji, and Nilu accompanied Baba while Erich drove. On the way to pick up Baba at Grafton, a Zoroastrian priest walked in front of their car. "Oh God!" Meherji remarked. Erich asked why, and Meherji explained that it was an ill omen, a sign of death. And the sidebar says, Kaikobad had also pleaded with Baba not to travel that day because it was a solar eclipse, which is considered an inauspicious time to be traveling. Baba and the men enjoyed the match and were returning to Satara in the evening at about 5:15 when their car, traveling at a high speed, went out of control, hit a low stone wall, and landed in a ditch. And there's a sidebar for this saying the accident occurred near the spot where Baba had played cricket the previous year. Everyone in the car was injured. Baba's tongue was cut, his hip bone fractured. Nilu and Pendu were unconscious. Vishnu, who had replaced Meherji on the return trip, and Erich had fractured ribs. Like Mehera, who in the first accident had seen Baba turn and ask her if she was injured, Vishnu too had a vision after the collision. I saw Baba, and never in my life have I seen such utter radiance and luster as was on Baba's face then. He was like a king, a victorious king who had won a great battle. Lord Krishna must have looked like that in his chariot on the victorious battlefield. The radiance was blinding. I could see nothing else, not the car nor the surroundings, only Baba's face in glorious triumph. A car and a truck were stopped. Baba was lifted into the car and brought back to Grafton by Vishnu. Erich, Pendu, and Nilu were taken in the truck to Rosewood, the Mondale's bungalow. At Grafton, Mehera, Mani, Meru, and Goher had just finished their supper. We were all waiting for Baba, Mehera narrated, when a car drove up to our bungalow. We had quickly had our food before Baba arrived. We had finished eating when someone said, Baba's car has come. We went outside, but it was a different car, not Baba's, and a different driver. I wondered, who has come? Then someone said, Baba has come. Come quickly, Baba's not well. I was standing in the doorway on the steps, getting down. The car was a bit further away. Baba was looking out the window. I saw Baba's face was pale. There was a lot of confusion. Everyone rushing out. In all the confusion, word was passed to me through Goher or someone else that something had happened to Baba, another accident. I started to weep. Someone said, "No, don't do that. Come and help." My legs and hands were wobbling, but somehow I ran towards Baba. Baba's lips were tight with pain. No sound came out. Though he was in great pain, Baba never uttered a single groan or moan. He was just pressing his lips tight together. Quickly, the women brought a chair and helped Baba out of the car. Neither Vishnu nor the driver approached the women. Mani, who had been at the stable, later wrote, "As I was hurrying towards the house, the driver of the car, a curly-headed boy, got down, and as I looked up at him, I stopped in my tracks, struck by the strangest feeling. As I looked at the boy, my thought was, why, he looks like an angel. And he did. I had the impression somehow of wings and a halo, yet could not, for the life of me, describe what the boy actually looked like." And the sidebar says, family letter of 25 December 1956. With great difficulty, Baba sat in the chair. The women helped him, little realizing at the time, whoops, hit the wrong key. The women helped him, little realizing at the time how seriously he was injured. Mehera continued, "All of us gathered around Baba, helping to lift him. We called the maids, Rakma and Sev, to help us also. Only we women were there. I remember that when we helped Baba out of the car onto a chair, Baba, with great difficulty, got into the chair. From the car, we carried the chair up the stairs, inside, through the dining room, to Baba's bedroom. As we were going, we were all saying, 'Hold him properly, come on,' giving each other instructions. Before we reached the bedroom, just for a fraction of a second, Baba looked up into my face with such a look in his eyes that I can't express. A very sad look, full of pain. He glanced up into my eyes only for 1 second, but I still remember that look. I didn't know what Baba meant then. Now I know that it was because he knew he would not be able to walk again. Though he did walk, his leg never healed completely so that he could walk as normally as before. So much pain and sadness filled his expression. He knew he would not be able to walk as before. Meru described the events that evening. On his arrival at Grafton that evening, we all participated in the help he needed. We were at the dining table, having just finished an early evening supper, so we could be free and ready to be with Baba when he arrived. It was most unusual for a strange car to enter the compound and drive to the veranda of the house. Instead of Baba coming in on his own and greeting Mehera first, as was the usual way, we heard Vishnu in a husky voice calling out, "Goher, Goher!" And as Goher ran out, she almost broke down when she saw what had happened. She called us to come in a hysterical voice, and we rushed out to see what had so upset her. Knowing that it was a crucial time and our help was needed, we tried, especially Mehera, not to give way to tears when we saw Baba slumped in the car, his clothes splattered with blood and injury to his face as well. What a nightmare it was as we moved like automatons, helping Baba out of the car and seating him in a chair with arms. And then all of us, Mehera, Mani, Goher, Rano, Naja and I with Rachma and Sev, our two maids from Arangaon, helped to lift Baba's chair and somehow conveyed him to his room. Goher then attended to the surface wounds as Baba quietly sat and explained he had pain in his right hip, pointing there and also gesturing that he thinks Dr. Nilu is dead. We could not believe this. Goher told Mani to go on the bicycle to Rosewood and call Dr. Donkin. On examining Baba's hip, Don said that the right leg had shortened considerably, and there was probably a fracture in the universal joint. Don said if it was possible, he should pull Baba's leg out a bit, which Baba agreed to. When Don saw Baba's tongue had been cut, he said Baba should go immediately to the hospital to have stitches before swelling set in. Before Don and Mani came, we had already changed Baba into fresh clothes. Even the sun hat Baba was wearing had been splattered with blood. That hat probably saved him from a concussion, as it was a pith helmet, a solar topi. And the sidebar says, coincidentally, at dinner, they had been talking about Nilu, what a wonderful doctor he was, and how he had helped so many. As soon as arrangements for transport and the doctor were made, Baba was lifted in the car and driven to the hospital, accompanied by Goher and Don. We thought, at least I did, that once medical care and treatment were given, that all would mend properly and Baba would be himself again. How were we to know that this was but the start of the phase of daily physical pain that never left Baba till the end? Here is Goher's recollection of that tragic evening. I was in the house when Baba's car came up. I couldn't believe it for a second. Mehera was also in the room. It was about 6 or 6:30 p.m. when the car came. We just couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it, that it was a second accident. And we didn't realize the extent of Baba's injuries. Vishnu was there in such a state of shock. We didn't know how to bring Baba out of the car. I don't remember whether I gave him an injection there. We brought a chair to the car. We had no men to help us lift him to the bedroom. Mani went at once on a bicycle. A lady's bicycle was kept at our house. So Mani went at once on a bicycle to the men's quarters to call Dawn. We tried to lift Baba. We brought him as far as the bedroom. Baba himself tried to stand up. When he stood, even then I didn't realize that he had shattered his hip. He was bleeding. His tongue was cut. I tried to put a sponge in his mouth. I just couldn't believe it. His eye, lips, and chin were cut. So many cuts. I think I gave him the injection in the bedroom. At Rosewood, Bao had heard Mani calling Dr. Donkin. He watched as both ran to Grafton. Thinking that something serious had happened to one of the women Mondali, Bao followed, despite the rule against men going to the women's bungalow. He too saw what Vishnu had seen. Baba's face was radiant, so shining, supremely happy, despite being covered with blood. Rano recalled, when we saw Baba being brought in the car, his tongue bleeding, I thought, oh no, not again. Baba's face looked all gory. I felt weak in the knees. It was nighttime, Mehera continued. We couldn't rush out to call a doctor in Satara. And what sort of doctor would be there in such a small town? Besides, Goher was a doctor. Deb, do you want to read some more, or should we pick it up next week?
I can read a little bit more.
Cool.
Nevertheless, a doctor was consulted. Goher narrated. Baba's right eye over the eyelid was cut. I cleaned his wounds and gave him an injection. We didn't know whether the hip was broken. We had to take him to an x-ray, and Satara was an awful place for that. In the meantime, Bao ran and contacted the civil surgeon at the civil hospital, the only hospital there, and sent an ambulance. It was 9 or 10 o'clock by this time. I accompanied Baba in the ambulance to the doctor with Don. They took several x-rays to see how far the bone was broken. Conditions in the hospital were terrible. Baba didn't stay there. After the x-rays were taken, he was taken to the operating theater where a cast was put on. His tongue had to be sutured. His wounds had to be stitched. I was there by Baba's side, holding his hand, feeling his pulse. They gave him some injection. Baba gripped Goher's hand tightly and gestured, "If I utter a sound, just shake me. See that I don't utter a sound." I kept on holding Baba. It was an awful ordeal to go through, to watch this. Don was busy getting the x-rays done. I just didn't know what was happening to me. I was holding on to Baba, seeing him go through all this suffering, the stitchings, and under the conditions it was done. For Baba, we would have gotten him the best of treatment, and this was the worst of treatment that could be done. We could never imagine taking Baba to such an inadequate facility, and I didn't know whether that piece of tongue would take to the suturing. The civil surgeon did everything. What could we do? Then we took Baba home. It was midnight by the time we reached there. The ambulance was so bad, The roads were so bad. Bump, bump, bump. With each bump, Baba winced with pain. Mehera didn't come into Baba's bedroom till the men had brought and put Baba on the bed. When they went out, she came in to see him. She was very distraught, but not weeping. She asked me about Baba's condition. I tried to tell her in a way that she wouldn't be frightened. I explained what the x-ray showed, what treatment was prescribed. The plaster cast made Baba most uncomfortable, as the whole leg, including and around the abdomen, had been done. It had been put on in a terrible way. It was such a horrible hospital. This cast is just temporary, Mehera, Gohir said. Later we will go to Pune. This had to be done to make Baba a little comfortable. All that night we kept awake near Baba, Mehera remembered. Gohir gave him a sedative injection to relieve the pain and to let him rest. Throughout the night we helped to do what we could. The civil surgeon went to Rosewood and pronounced Neelu dead. Neelu had never regained consciousness. It seemed, however, that Neelu had had a premonition about his fate. A few days before the accident, he told Rano that he felt as if his head were banging against a stone. He remarked to Naja also that he had a short lifeline in his palm and was not going to live long, which turned out to be true. A few days before the accident, Baba told the Mandali, "We may all die in a few days." Then turning to Neelu, he said, "Don't worry about anything. Keep thinking of me constantly. I am the only one that exists, the only one that matters."
There's a sidebar on the previous page. It's a letter from Mani to Adi Sr., 7 December 1956. The swelling of the face is decreasing daily. The tongue healing well also. But the pain in the leg is still very bad. I don't think there is anything more helpless than to watch Baba suffer like this and be able to do nothing about it. We share his love, but we cannot share his pain. That's the end of the sidebar.
Baba teased Neelu a lot, Mani observed, but just a few days before he died, Baba was so nice to him. He even gave him sweets, which Neelu loved, and said they were only for Neelu. Neelu couldn't believe it. Shortly thereafter, he died. Baba stated, "Neelu was particularly fortunate to have breathed his last in my physical proximity." Erch and Pendu had also been taken to the hospital, where they stayed for a few days. Erich had several broken ribs and had injured his back, which was to continue to trouble him periodically for the rest of his life. Pendu had a fractured pelvis and suffered a head injury, which resulted in his speech being slurred from then on. Pendu, too, never walked freely again. It is interesting that Pendu, who had joined Baba as a young man, had no real interest in spirituality as such. He simply wanted to be with his cousin, Baba, whom he loved. His only talent, he thought, was his ability to do hard physical labor. He was strong and athletic and had been in charge of activities at Meherabad when he lived there. All this was taken away from him after this accident, and it was difficult for Pendu to make the adjustment. More immediately, things were difficult at the hospital, where Pendu's cot was infested with bedbugs that crawled inside his plaster cast and itched like hell, he reported. On the day of the accident, Erich had been complaining to Baba about his weak eyesight and suggested that his driving days were over. When they met after the accident, the first thing Baba said to him, "Are you happy now? Your wish is fulfilled." Like Elizabeth, the driver of Baba's car in the first accident, Erich never drove Baba again. Because of Neelu's death, the police were called and began an investigation. They could find no plausible reason for the accident. Nothing was wrong with the car. The road had been clear at the accident site. The authorities were suspicious. All Zoroastrians and one Hindu killed? They thought that Erich had been drunk and suspended his license. They even came to interview Baba. The case dragged on. Finally, the judge pronounced it was an act of God. Baba later told Erich on 5 February 1959 that in these so-called accidents, Baba got his physical bones broken so as to break the backbone of the material aspect of the machine age, keeping intact its spiritual aspect. He told Audie Sr. something further. After the accident, Baba was found to have remarked that war was to take place, and it was good it was averted. We cannot but infer that taking upon himself the shock, Baba managed to postpone the impending disaster that was to befall the world. Sidebar, in a letter from Audie Sr. to Manu Karas dated 15 December 1968. In fact, a recent uprising in Hungary had been brutally crushed by the Soviet army, resulting in the exodus of 200,000 refugees. Referring to that crisis, Baba stated, "The Hungarians suffered much in their recent struggle. Many were lying wounded and helpless on the roads, away from their loved ones and from care or relief from pain. At least I am lying on a bed with the care of good doctors and the love of all my lovers, present and absent." Jai Baba, and that's the end of that section.
Jai Baba. So we'll pick up next week at near the top of page 168. Let me turn off the recording.
I just